It was not planned. It just happened, to be honest. My journey transformed from a practicing physician into the biotech and pharma space. I think personally, it could boil down to the idea of resisting change.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Business Narrative. Today we are joined by Dr. Bobby Singh, a medical professional and emerging entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Bobby, for your precious time.
Thank you for having me on your show.
The pleasure is all mine. So do let me know, like you were working in a pharmaceutical industry, and how did this entrepreneurial journey happen? And like it was your goal, or like it was a spontaneous shift?
I think, to be honest with you, I do really enjoy what I do in the sense that I've always enjoyed the healthcare space, the latest innovations in biotechnology and pharmaceuticals. And while in practice, of course, I was exposed to the other side of healthcare, where as physicians we are able to, influence innovative technologies, be involved in clinical research. So that obviously piqued my interest. And my cousin brother, actually, he was working in the space, and he introduced me to the world of pharmaceuticals per se. And I guess that's how my journey transformed from a practicing physician into the biotech and pharma space. So it was not planned. It just happened, to be honest.
As an entrepreneur, you do your research, right? You find market gaps. So like how did you find a gap in biotech industry, and how you thought that your company, your firm will going to fulfill that gap?
Before we dive into that, I think it's very important for the viewers to understand that before one actually gets into the biotech space individually or consider starting up, like in my case, biotech consulting firm, it's really important to ensure that you have a very good grounding and you understand all the multiple areas of business within the pharmaceutical and biotech sector. Because eventually, when you do start consulting, your clients or those people that eventually engage you, they are looking at you for answers, right? And the last thing you want is to delay things, delay in getting back to them with the right response, because everything is really quick in biotech. And that is why, coming back to the question earlier, it's very important to have a very good grounding in large pharmaceutical companies initially. That's where I had worked with companies like Sanofi, GlaxoSmithKline, and Merck around the APAC region. And after working with them for a number of years, it was only then that I decided, I'm going to start my own consulting firm, because at that time, there was a gap in the market. Lots of people were working individually or in silos. So you have your regulatory affairs personnel working by themselves. You have your market access people working by themselves. So I was thinking, why don't we park it under one roof and try to simplify things for sponsors or those clients that would like to reach out to a one-stop center. So that was my motivation. Naturally, it was a risk, but no rewards without a risk.
One thing that caught my attention in your entrepreneurial journey, that you have survived 1 year without major clients. If I don't get my salary on time, it will be very difficult for me to survive. But you survived 1 year. Number one. Number two, any message for those people, those youngsters who thinks that they will going to launch their business and they will be billionaire overnight? What is the reality?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, the first 12 months was rather disheartening. Um, like with any business, it's all about people knowing you, being comfortable with you before they actually give you an opportunity to work alongside them. So naturally, I would advise somebody to actually have a good financial buffer and manage your expenses really well. Now, I was fortunate in the sense that being a practicing physician, I still had supplementary income on the side. So I still could find some time to practice. But naturally, of course, I could not dedicate too much of time in the clinic because I was trying to build my clientele, the portfolio, reaching out, going out and meeting people. I think that's the most important thing people have to understand here is to build a good rapport. Ideally, you have to be out there meeting people face to face. Yes, having Zooms and Teams meetings helps, but there's nothing like, the physical aspect, shaking somebody's hand, looking into the person in the eye, and trying to gauge each other's expectations to ensure that it's a win-win situation for both parties. So yeah, naturally, of course, things slowly picked up. I was fortunate that my ex-colleagues, my ex-bosses gave me the opportunity to consult for them. And, over time, through word of mouth, naturally, of course, the business slowly grew.
You are currently targeting businesses, right? You're providing your services to businesses. But let's say you have to change your strategy and you have to target consumers. What will be your marketing strategy?
I think that's a very interesting question because when it comes to the biotech space per se, the B2C model doesn't really apply because when you look at what we offer, right? So typically, of course, the crux of the business is running clinical research programs. We also help sponsors or companies register their vaccines or their products in various countries, for example. So we help navigate the entire regulatory pathway. We do disease and product training from a medical affairs perspective. We do learning and development training. So coming back to the consumer per se, the most interaction that I can think of probably is us liaising with a sponsor or with another company to conduct disease awareness campaigns or disease awareness programs. So it's unbranded, of course, because we're not allowed to be promotional in nature. So when it comes to a B2C model, then ideally it's trying to ensure that the message that you're trying to convey to the public or to the consumer is simplified as much as possible. So let's say we take, for instance, shingles or the herpes zoster, right? So we know that there's a vaccine out there. There are two vaccines out there against shingles. And to run these disease awareness campaigns in an unbranded manner, naturally, of course, if you have any form of disease awareness forum, the idea is to share what the disease is all about, what treatment options are there, and eventually what preventive options are there. So you want to keep things as simple as possible to present to the public. So, I mean, that's the only consumer model that I can think of that's unique to the consulting I offer, because otherwise the rest of it is highly specialized and it's more from a B2B perspective.
Yahoo and Nokia were big names in their fields. Nokia were dominating in mobile phone industry, and Yahoo was the largest search engine in early 2000s and late 2000s, right? Why they could not sustain their success? Number one. Number two, how those people who are working in this biotech industry, they can avoid this trap.
I think personally, it could boil down to the idea of resisting change. I mean, let's not go far. Let's look at Nokia, right? Look at what happened to them and how eventually they lost their market share to the other players out there like Apple, Samsung, and all that. They had a huge market share when the handphone market eventually boomed, but they failed to capitalize on the market as technology progressed. So same thing that you can apply to the biotech and the pharma space as well. It's all about innovation. It's all about ensuring and trying to be as innovative as possible with regards to, well, firstly, in my case, from a biotech consulting perspective, you have to show how you actually differentiate yourselves from other competitors that do what I do out there, right? Why should I engage you? Why not party B? It may all boil down to finances, but I also believe it's at the end of the day how adaptable you are to the business, how flexible you are to the client's needs. I mean, if you're going to be rigid about everything, it's going to be very difficult for people to work with you. Coming back to your question, it's all about how you adapt as well as work hand in hand and side by side as if you are an extended employee for the client, even though you're just offering a consulting service. But at the end of the day, you want to build something strategic with them. Your success is my success. It's not just about dollars and cents at the end of the day, because you want to contribute something that's tangible, something that's of value, and eventually they are happy to refer your services to other people as well.
Everyone is furious about AI, and people say that AI will going to replace humans. Like in biotech industry, AI will going to replace humans as well. And on the other side, there are many debates that AI will going to create some sort of biological things which human cannot produce. Like what is the harsh reality?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I mean, it's no longer science fiction, right? I mean, since AI has come into play, it simplified our lives so much. You now have robots in pretty much every sector, very human-like robots to aid a person, even in healthcare, for instance. So at the end of the day, it all boils down to ethics, ensuring we have strong guidelines, strong ethics to ensure that the research that is done in this field is not abused for the wrong purpose. But coming to your question, no, I do not see this being a risk at all, because, as I was saying earlier, biotech is all about innovation. It's all about ensuring that whatever medicine or whatever new technology that's being turned out, be it a drug, a vaccine, a medical device, it's eventually for our benefit, for our ease of use. And at the end of the day, it definitely has to be something that makes financial sense as well, right? The last thing you want is to spend too much of money on something that you either do not need or you're rarely going to use. Um, so yeah, that's a risk that I feel it's can be downplayed at the moment. But yeah, it's looking into the future. I mean, it's an exciting future. I think the biotech industry, not only in healthcare but in other businesses as well, is something that's growing very, very rapidly. And naturally, of course, those decision makers that are involved in the field have to ensure that there are guidelines in place for the technology and for the knowledge not to be misused or misappropriated in any other way.
You spend years to invest in your employees, right? So, like when a key employee says goodbye to your company, how it affects you. On the other side, what is your approach on talent retention?
Yes, actually. Well, coming to the second part of the question, when I eventually left the various companies that I worked for, look, at the end of the day, all of us are replaceable, right? But we do build strong rapport with certain managers, with certain of our colleagues and all that. And as with any organization, healthcare or non-healthcare related, when a so-called subject matter expert leaves, it's always tedious to replace that person, especially if that person is really good in what they do. But it's a natural cycle of life. I mean, people come in roles, people leave roles, and I think people retention, strong people skills is really important. As a having been in a managerial role with large companies and having to manage consultants in my own firm as well, you would like to retain talent. You ideally do not want to lose them. And you have to recognize their work. You have to be willing to listen to what they have to say. I mean, if you show that you are a Mr. Know-it-all, I don't think anybody wants to work with you, because you may know things to a certain extent, but you are dealing with subject matter experts here. That's the reason you have engaged them to help work with you to work on certain client projects and eventually complete that task. So I have been in a situation where unfortunately I have lost good consultants. Not easy to replace. It takes time to replace a consultant. And as I was saying earlier, In a consulting firm, it's not an ideal place where you can learn. You have to be in a situation where you already know what to do and run with it. So the learning happens at large organizations. So naturally, I would need to find people with experience that have high subject matter expertise and would be flexible to also consult alongside their day-to-day job. So that's not easy to do. And because I also operate across various geographies, um, I'm fortunate that I get to meet people from different backgrounds, people with totally different thought process that really bring value uh, to what I do. But as I say, at the end of the day, it's all about listening to them and trying to ensure that you retain them as long as possible and as best be. I mean, nobody would be with you forever. I think that goes with every job. Seeing somebody that works at one place for 15, 20 years is no longer the case as it was before. Uh, yeah, so that's how it is.
So do let me know, like according to your experience, which regions are best to do biotech business. If a newbie want to start their business, what are some main steps they should keep in their mind?
I think we can look at this from two angles. Firstly, is what I do. So, from a consulting perspective, I think wherever you are, if you would like to get into the consulting space, geography is no limitation. At the end of the day, it boils down to your expertise, whether you're willing to work odd hours, because I've worked with clients in Europe and US where the time is totally off. So you have to manage your hours, you have to manage expectations. So at the end of the day, it boils down to how much hard work you're willing to put and what capacity of expansion are you looking at. So that's from a consulting angle. If you're looking at it from a company perspective, so which countries are attractive to invest in a biotech company? So if we look at APAC per se, so your powerhouses would be countries like Singapore, Japan, South Korea, Australia, China, right? So these are the main power players in the APAC region right now. We have lots of biotech companies in these countries because of the talent that's available in these countries, because of the government incentives that are given to companies that start up their biotech firm or their biotech company in these countries. And that's a very attractive proposition if somebody is looking to either invest as a shareholder or to start up a biotech. Starting up a biotech company is no joke because firstly, you have to decide what portfolio you want to get into. Secondly, it's all about raising finances. You go through your seed funding, Series A, Series B, and Series C financing, and also, getting in enough of venture capital firms to buy into your project. So there are multiple facets on how this can be looked at. From a consulting angle, it's rather straightforward. You can start your business wherever you are, and your clientele has to be global. You have to look out. You can't be just too focused on one country alone because your business would not really expand. And from a pure biotech investment perspective, these countries that I mentioned in Asia are the leading biotech nations where they really value organizations setting up their businesses over there, and lots of support is given to them to ensure that the business is able to take off. So I'm just talking about APAC here, but of course, if you're looking at Europe, then you have your traditional biotech powerhouses like the Nordic countries, Denmark, Sweden, UK, France, Italy, of course, have a pretty good biotech industry as well, and the US. Without that goes without saying. Lots and lots of biotech companies uh, based out of the US.
So if you get a chance to give one advice to your younger self, what sort of advice you will going to give?
Probably the only advice I would have given myself is I may have started this a little bit more sooner rather than later, but I was a bit hesitant, of course, because I felt that I wanted to spend more time working with large pharma organizations to really ensure that I understood every single business unit as best as possible before venturing out. So yeah, I mean, I wish I could have probably started this 1 or 2 years earlier. I could have been, much more established as opposed to now. But I'm not complaining. I mean, things happen for a reason. I'm still very fortunate and very happy in what I do, and I do look forward to more successes, the opportunity to work with a variety of people. I think that's something I really enjoy, as opposed to just working in a clinic or in a hospital setting. Still enjoy seeing patients on the rare occasion that I do see them, but working in such a space where you're able to influence treatment paradigms and guidelines, and meet stakeholders at a government level, or even deal directly with organizations like the FDA or EMA in Europe. I think I'm really enjoying that. So fingers crossed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bobby, for giving a masterclass on biotech entrepreneurship. And I hope all the viewers are going to love the podcast. If you love the podcast, do subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and we will be going to meet you in another exciting episode. Till then, keep dating, keep listening, and keep achieving your goals.